Thank you, Kevin. For those that don't know, Kevin and Mike are my twin boys. They'll be 38 years old this August 26th, exactly how old Advanced Roofing is as of January this year, 38 years in business. I started out in Long Island working on the roof in high school and college. And then I was offered a job to open a branch in Atlanta, and that brought me down here in 92 and 82, I should say. And then I borrowed $15,000 from my dad, bought a pickup truck, and Advanced Roofing is what it is today by doing what we say we're going to do. Really good people, a great culture, and delivering our clients the best quality job, the best value proposition there is in the industry. Um, that's a good photo of me. I think that was done a few years ago, but had a little more hair and enjoy doing these and seeing our clients from around the state. So just so you know, we have all our clients from all our branches are on this call. One thing I learned early on is that we needed a HVAC division, and that was crucial. Today we have HVAC, solar, electric, lightning protection, all these under one roof. We also have 7 branches, and 6 of these we actually own properties, as you can see: Fort Lauderdale, Jupiter, Sanford, Tampa, Jacksonville, Fort Myers. We're looking for a building, and we just purchased a $2 million facility down in Miami-Dade. That's our commitment to our clients, that we're going to be here after 38 years and for another long decades and decades. My grandson's 7, so hopefully he'll be in the business shortly. So with that said, I'm going to have Julian say a few words. And before I go, just, we 2020 was, history, right? We're going to be in the history books. Everybody that lived through it, the pandemic, the crazy election, and 2020 is a new page. We still have work to do. I was just reading an article on the new virus. It's more contagious. So we still have our work to do. We preach safety. We preach COVID safety at all our job sites, and we've been doing very well with that. So with our new office, say hi, Julian, and he's going to come back in a little bit.
Thank you, Rob, for that introduction. And my name is Julian Olarte. I'm the Service Branch Manager for Advanced Roofing for Dade County and for the Keys. As Rob was saying, we're really excited about the acquisition of this new property. This really shows how committed is Advanced Roofing with every branch that we have open across the state. So it shows commitment to our customer, and it shows that we will be serving you for many more years, as Rob said initially. The office is, the location of the office is excellent. It's close to the Marlins Park. So it would give us faster access to all of your properties. And it's a bigger office, bigger warehouse. So really looking forward to this 2021. So giving the word back to you, Rob, and I will see you soon in a couple of slides to speak about roof asset management.
Yes. Thank you, Julian. And you'll see him shortly. Next up is Clint Sockman. He's been with us for over 15 years. He is a partner. He came down as a project manager estimator and worked himself up. He runs the solar division and helps out with roofing. Has a lot of responsibilities. He's also a qualifier for us. Clint, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot of exciting stuff to go over today. One thing before we do get started, Jess Murphy on our team and the marketing team has been busy getting CEU accreditation for many of our Lunch and Learn programs. So if you are a property manager looking for continuing education units and credits, these are accredited Lunch and Learns. You can send us your information either through the chat room or directly to Jess Murphy, and we'll make sure that you get your continuing education credits as well. So we really hope that brings value to everyone out there working hard. What are we going to try to go over? What are we learning today? Not try, we hate that word. I can't believe I said it. But what are we going to learn today? Our learning objectives, how and when to budget for roof repairs, how and when to budget for maintenance and replacements. And, these things are highly affected by the decisions we make and what we do throughout the life of our project. And we're going to try to establish key terms there. And then also using our roof maintenance programs and technologies and asset management, which is RAMP, and then some Q&A. So we'll go ahead and get started with a poll. And we'd like to just get some temperature from the group as to how you're currently budgeting for your roof replacements. There's a lot of ways to do it out there. Some people don't budget at all. So we'd love to hear how you're doing it. Give it a couple of seconds and we'll get the results. An Excel spreadsheet, great. Yeah, we used to use Excel spreadsheets when I started here. I have a database of probably 5,000 Excel spreadsheets that we've done roof estimates on, and we've kind of moved into new technologies, and that's going to be part of the presentation today, is using the RAMP program and kind of this next level of technology. Rob and our management team often talks about how, while we're a construction and a service business, we're also a technology business. We're doing everything that we can to move into the future and to provide the most value for our customers. So it's good to hear that you're budgeting, and that's a great start. We're hoping to bring some new ways to help you out. When we talk about re-roof and budget planning, a lot of people say, well, where do we start, right? And when we get phone calls for budgeting, and we do budgeting every day at no charge for our customers and prospective customers, but what we're looking to establish is a solid inventory of existing conditions and details. And when we talk about conditions, that's really the assessment of the shape or the health of the roof system that you have right now. What type of roof system is it? Do we have blistering? Do we have crazing? Do we have delamination and disorientation of membranes? And then we're also inventorying conditions or details, right? How your roof is terminated on its perimeters, what type of deck you have, whether that slope is structural or it's in an insulation package. And we're really gathering all of these pieces of information together to try to make the most educated decision that we can for the customer. So once we establish that survey, and whether we're out there establishing that with site takeoffs, or you're gathering that information as a property manager, a facility manager, those are key things that we're looking for. And once we get that information, we can start asking next level questions about, well, what are we going to do now? Are we going to repair this roof? Are we going to replace this roof? And those are big questions to be answered. They can dramatically affect the next level cost that we're looking at, the capital expense of whether it's a repair or a replacement or a restoration. But to answer those questions, we take that site takeoff inventory information, and then we start looking at, okay, well, what are our annual expenses right now? What are we spending on leaks and repairs? What does that maintenance history look like? A lot of folks don't know. And that's another big part of a roof asset management program, is having all of those expenses inventoried in one single place. And Julian's going to touch on that as well. The investment horizon and ownership needs. I think this is a big one that a lot of people miss on, and contractors and manufacturers sometimes fail to educate on, which is, hey, what is the goal of the real estate asset? What is the owner trying to achieve? Is this a long-term hold where, initial cost should be one of the lowest driving factors? And we should be looking more towards longevity of the roof system, or how the roof's going to be used, and durability. So, asking those questions, okay, hey, this is a short-term hold. I'm looking to flip this building in 5 years and minimize my capital expenses now, or, I'm going to hand this building over to my family or to future investors in the business, and we want to do it right today. So we start asking ourselves all of these key questions. A couple of things that people often gauge kind of the budgeting process on as well. My roof is old, roof age, right? You see that as a non-key factor. And the reason we put that there is because, and you'll see in future slides, the age of the roof really doesn't necessarily mean that this roof is at the end of its life and needs to be replaced. Properly installed, good craftsmanship, and good maintenance programs can extend roof systems well beyond what most people would issue from a warrantable standpoint, or what most people think a roof can survive. So we don't really look at the age of the roof as much as we do the condition of that roof.
Hey, Clint, can I chime in real quick with a question from Lorraine Thomas?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. She wanted to know the difference between TPO and PVC membranes.
Sure. So they both fall in the single ply category, meaning they are Thermoplastics, they're single ply membranes that go down with one single waterproofing membrane. The difference is chemical makeup at its base level, right? Polyvinyl chloride is a more established membrane, and TPO, tripolyolefin, is another plastic membrane with just a different chemical makeup. But when we start analyzing the differences in performance, and we get past the chemical, because I can tell you, to the average eye, looking at them on a desk, you can't tell the difference. But they do have significantly different weathering patterns. TPOs are actually made to oxidize, so they erode away with sunlight oxidation, and you end up with a thinner and thinner membrane every year. So if it starts off with 60 mils, as the sun bakes it and the rain hits it, you start eroding membrane, and towards the end of life, you'll end up with 40 mils, and you'll be showing your reinforcing scrim. And that oxidation pattern and weathering structure is actually critical for maintainability over the life of a roof system. So as that oxidizes, it becomes harder and harder to repair. So if you have to come in and cut some new curbs in, or you need to repair a roof hatch, a 10-year-old TPO membrane that has oxidation on it becomes very hard to weld to. And PVC conversely has plasticizers and UV inhibitors inside the membrane itself, and it's not made to be a oxidation weathering. So you'll end up with the same millage approximately from the day you start until the day you end. PVCs also tend to be much more robust and resilient from a chemical standpoint. So if we start talking about specifying over top of airports where we might have jet wash, or restaurants where we have grease vents, those sorts of things, PVCs and KEEs, which is another high level membrane, tend to wear and weather much better there as well. So maintainability over the course of the life, and the way that they weather, and their durability and robustness against chemical exposure, really kind of put PVCs and KEEs as a higher level performance membrane. So,
and Clint, just share real quick, the cost difference as a percentage of the whole job is really minimal, correct?
it is, depending on whether it's a recover or replacement, doesn't, that tends to factor into it. But what we generally see moving from a, let's call it baseline TPO roof system, into a PVC KEE, less than 10% increase in cost. And we kind of actually model that out and show you some cost of ownership scenarios here in a couple of slides. I think it'll be a good visual representation of what it is. One other thing we tell people with TPOs, they do have a place, and we're definitely not selling against them. It's just not a place for everyone. Walmarts and large warehouses, where they're replacing roofs on a 10-year cycle, regardless of where they're at in their life cycle, they're typically specifying TPOs. If you have no foot traffic whatsoever, no chemical exposure whatsoever, and you're looking for a low cost, initial cost, TPOs have a space. But if you're a long-term holder, or you're a property manager that's going to have significant HVAC traffic, and you have durability questions, TPOs may not be the best choice for you. So, getting back to where we've started, when we ask these questions, we get answers, right? And these answers could be, well, hey, we think that it can be maintained through preventative maintenance. Your roof doesn't need to be replaced. And we have a path forward to develop a preventative maintenance program. We could have a roof that hasn't been touched for 5 to 10 years, and we don't feel that it's actually in a condition to be preventatively maintained, but we need to do some large scope repairs to get it back to a maintainable state. And so that's kind of a secondary course. We could be at a roof system that's moving later on to its life cycle, and maybe we need to look at a full coating system to rehabilitate it to a place where it's warrantable, or maybe none of these systems work. And we're going to talk about life cycle age here in just one second. So time for another poll. Yeah, what is the largest deciding factor in the life cycle cost analysis, the cost of owning a roof asset? A couple more seconds. Life expectancy. I don't know. Maybe you guys heard us last year, or maybe we just have a very educated group, or maybe both. But that is actually true. The initial upfront cost is, and the maintenance cost you'll see over the course of 20 or 30 years, which we've seen a shift in our customer base's mindset of moving towards these longer warranties. Initial cost and maintenance are a very small portion of it. So what does it cost to own this? What does our analysis look like, and what are we looking for? The initial cost, life expectancy, and I put in bold letters there, that's not a warranty term. We buy a warranty and it's either 15 years or 20 years or 30 years nowadays. That is not the life expectancy. That's a warranty, and how you maintain your asset, how you operate it, just like a car, if you don't change the oil, you're never going to get that drivetrain warranty on your engine, right? Go drive your car without changing the oil for 50,000 miles and see if it still works. And roofs are very much the same. Maintenance costs, energy savings, and then disposal costs, which is an end of life cycle kind of conversation. These are all key inputs that we put into this life cycle cost of ownership. But when you look at it, there's a lot of things that we need to look at as we work through this life cycle and understanding it so we can answer questions intelligently. 80% of roofs fail for lack of maintenance. So by turning your head on a roof, which is an easy thing to do, it's completely out of sight and out of mind. But as a building owner, as a facility manager, as a property manager, just because it is out of sight, that out of sight, out of mind mentality can cost us dramatically over the course of ownership. Unplanned repairs and reactive maintenance are on average 3 to 5 times more costly than planned maintenance or preventative maintenance. And this is no different than, once again, you can use the car analogy. You can use eating salads and doing some exercise is a lot cheaper than open heart surgery, right? There's really no difference there, but, and we'll talk about some studies in a bit that kind of portray this as well. Proactively maintained roof systems on average last 21 years compared to 13 years for reactive maintenance. And that's straight from buildings.com. So that was a multi-year study that was done over a lot of different facilities that yielded these results that show a nearly 50% increase in roof life from 13 years to 21 years just by maintenance. If we catch problems early, they tend to not fester and grow into something larger. And then last but not least, and I think a lot of people on this phone call know this, roof replacement is often the single most expensive post-construction capital expense that an owner will ever incur. So as we look at this kind of life cycle, if we install this roof and maintain it properly, this step between 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 can be 20 or 30 years, but we can certainly circumvent this wheel very quickly. And we see it every day, either through craftsmanship or through lack of maintenance. We can go straight from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 in a really accelerated time frame. And that's where cost of ownership can get very expensive. So we talk about budgeting for maintenance, and there's a big and that comes after that. And we'll see what the and is in the next slide. But we start talking about, well, what is reactive maintenance? What is proactive maintenance? Reactive maintenance is that phone call that we get that says, hey, I have a leak. I need you out here ASAP. That's calling us on Friday night in the middle of a rainstorm and your building is flooding and you got a major problem because we haven't seen it until it manifests as a large issue. Problems that present themselves as an immediate threat for water intrusion. So, when we come do inspections, we'll give you what we consider critical defects. These are things that are actually letting water in today as we speak. And then we give things that are what we consider non-critical defects, but they should still be addressed before they become critical. And that's where we start to identify things in a proactive maintenance, preventative maintenance kind of standpoint, where we're managing the asset, we're managing problems before they become critical. An interesting study, this is a multi-year study done by the United States Air Force. This is published data. We didn't invent it. Came out that the Air Force's reactive maintenance cost is 15 cents per square foot when they do nothing to their buildings to proactively prevent issues. And their proactive maintenance costs are 4 cents a square foot. So when you look at that number, you're 3.5 times, almost 4 times the cost to do reactive maintenance on critical issues rather than being proactive and finding these problems before they occur. A lot of folks make the mistake of thinking, well, I have a warranty, why do I need maintenance? It's very important that I think we identify warranties cover workmanship and they cover materials. And we do combine those together to create roof system warranties, but there's a laundry list of what there are considered maintainable, owners required maintenance that's written in the fine print of those warranties. And that fine print is there to protect the manufacturer. And maintenance is something that is required outside of a warranty. If a roof fails due to lack of maintenance, your warranty is worth the paper that's written on, and that's about it. So, look at your warranties, educate yourselves when you're buying these assets. It's the largest capital expense for your building. And it obviously there's significant recourse if we don't follow what's required in there. So what is the budgeting for maintenance and the answer is the cost of not budgeting for maintenance. So we kind of take some of these tidbits of information from previous slides. We talk about the difference between, this is specifically maintenance. So we take that Air Force study and we look at our average 25,000 square foot roof, which is a pretty typical size, kind of maybe average size for our commercial operations division. And we say, okay, well, at the start of this roof system, it costs us $10 a square foot to install this new roof. And on the left, you kind of see this vertical stack of costs. And let's just assume that we install a 20-year roof system. And if we maintain it properly, it's expected to get 25. And with no maintenance, it's expected to get 15. What does that look like over time if we do this preventative versus reactive maintenance system? Now, on the left, you'll see we come out of pocket this $250,000, and we perform this preventative maintenance program at 4 cents a square foot, which is about $1,000 a year over the 25 years, and we're out of pocket a total of $275,000, and the roof lasts for 25 years. In comparison to that, we come out of pocket that same $250,000. We do a reactive maintenance program at 15 cents per square foot per year, $3,700, and we only get 15 years out of that life. So we're now stuck with installing another new roof system at the year 15 mark rather than that 25-year mark. And that, we translate that into cost of ownership. And what you look at is to get 25 years in the reactive situation where you're replacing a roof after 15 years instead of after 25, you're spending $714,000 in comparison to the $275,000 through preventative maintenance programs that could be achieved. And you start looking at average cost of ownership, $11,000 a year versus $28,000 a year. It can be a significant cost difference, right? And if you're looking at long-term budgeting and planning, it's very cut and dry. There's a lot of data that backs up maintaining this is better than being reactive. And from a cost savings perspective, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to take a short break of going through data and show you a project we recently completed. This is a 30-year KEE PVC membrane on the Riverside Hotel that we just completed last year. It's a great case study.
My name is Heiko Dobriko. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Las Olas Company and the General Manager of the Riverside Hotel. The Riverside Hotel is the only hotel currently on Las Olas Boulevard and was built in 1936. It's the Grand Dam and has been a stellar institution of Fort Lauderdale. It's still family owned and operated by the same family that built it actually in that particular year and that was also responsible in building Las Olas Boulevard, the Wells family. We have 13 roofs that needed to be reroofed, and the ages of the roofs were anywhere between 17 to 26 years of age. When we reached out to Advanced Roofing, it was important for us to select somebody that knew the complexity of our structure. It is complex because we have different buildings And we were going to do this whole project while we're still taking hotel guests in.
I'm Todd Avery, Senior Project Manager for Advanced Roofing Company. As far as the installation process goes, like I said, we had different deck types. We had a combination of concrete decks, metal decks, which took a variation of the same roofing system. On the concrete decks, we used a fleeceback membrane, which was fully adhered down to the deck. On the metal deck areas, we installed a polyiso with tapered insulation, then it fully adhered the membrane to the top of the polyiso. The manufacturer we used on this project was Carlisle Syntec, utilizing their 60 mil PVC key membrane, both in fleeceback and bareback. The metal roof deck areas had tapered polyiso, all mechanically attached down to the metal deck. I think we had a great working relationship with the chief engineer. Like I said, we communicated daily in the morning and in the afternoons, letting them know what was going on. Our construction manager did a fantastic job of communicating, not only with myself, but also with the sheet metal department, HVAC, and our electrical division. And the great thing about having all those divisions under one umbrella is that we have total control of what's happening with the project throughout the entire process.
Thanks, Clint. There's one question that came up, but one thing I'd like to plug on that project, Mike Aaron's here, is that on that job, we actually integrated and retrofitted. They had the old window shaker units in the walls. We actually put split units throughout the whole facility and upgraded their HVAC to a new efficient system, which is going to save them a lot of money. We do that a lot. We integrate in HVAC and roofing into one project to make it seamless, so there's no finger pointing for the customers on the chiller side and on split units. But Clint, we had a very good question. What is the benefit of aggregate on a modified roof?
That's a great question. It actually goes back to that oxidation. I don't want to get too scientific, but underneath modified roof, modified bitumen is nothing that's nothing more than asphalt bitumen that's been modified with a plasticizer, whether that's APP or SBS. But the long and the short is those are plasticizers that have been mixed with asphalt to create rolled roofing. Asphalt products in general are very susceptible to UV radiation and oxidation. So if you were to leave a piece of asphalt out, much like your blacktop turns white over time, that asphalt oxidizes and essentially just erodes away. And if we didn't have the granules, we call them granules, aggregate, it's granules on modified aggregate, which we also do on built up roofs, which is typically kind of classified as gravel. Those keep the sunlight off of the asphalt to prevent that oxidation. And so when you see significant granule loss, and you'll find that if you're maintaining roofs, you'll find granules built up around drains or in the corners of the roofs, you're actually losing your sunblock, if you will, which is keeping that asphalt from oxidizing and eroding over time. A lot of times, if people overheat their rolls, you can dislodge granules, and that's just a pretty typical poor craftsmanship, workmanship issue where you have that can facilitate granule loss. Some granule loss just occurs naturally over time, but granules are there to keep ultraviolet radiation off of asphalt substrates. So, good question. This is going to be one of the last slides, and this is kind of a good lead into, or this the video from Riverside was a good lead into the conversation about budgeting for different types of roof systems. Your typical TPO roof today is warranted for 20 years. There's a lot of higher end PVC systems and KEE systems, or even thicker TPO membranes that have additional weathering capabilities by just putting more membrane in there, that get to 30 years. And Rob brought it up earlier that, the cost to go from a 20-year system to a 30-year system is not that dramatic. And the primary driver behind that is that, there's a lot of cost just to mobilize to roofing sites, to engineer them, to permit them. And then the labor, obviously, there's virtually no labor difference between some of these 20 and 30-year systems. So you're really only looking at a material increase. But when you start to look at the difference between the cost of ownership in this scenario, this is assuming that everyone's performing roof asset management programs. and that we get 20 years out of our TPO, not the 13 when you don't do it, you're reactive and it fails prematurely, but we maintain it, we get what's expected of it, that 20 years, and we take a 30-year roof system where we do the same thing. On that 25,000 square foot roof, you're $10 a square foot still, $250,000 initial investment. We move up to this 30-year roof system, and it's an additional 10% of cost, $275,000 initial investment, and we're maintaining it at a cost of 4 cents per square foot per year, about $1,000 a year over the cost of the life cycle. Well, by the time we then replace that 20-year roof system to get that additional 10 years and we start leveling it out, we're looking at a cost of ownership, $10,000 per year to buy that 30-year roof system, $23,000 per year, or just over a 50% increase to buy 2 different 20-year roof systems. And so it's a dramatic difference for that lower cost of capital, a pretty, I don't want to call it lower cost, but it's a higher cost up front, but it's not a significant cost up front, but the long-term benefit can obviously be dramatic as you start looking at the differences here. So, with that, we always like to leave people with a little bit of a budgeting planning cheat sheet. And there's a big update here down on the bottom. I don't know if everybody is aware on the call. I would assume a lot of people are, but the state of Florida implemented the new Florida Building Code, FBC 2020, which was adopted on January 1st. And it did pick up a new version of the code changes for how we design wind speeds in important areas on the roof, what we call our wind zones. There's been significant changes to any building under 60 feet tall. So if you have a budget that's maybe 2, 3, 4 years old, even last year that a contractor or a designer didn't take into account the new codes in the buildings under 60 feet tall, we really recommend that you reach out to us, you reach out to whoever your qualified contractor is, and make sure that that budget is still adequate, because we have seen, depending on from case to case, some dramatic changes into budgets based on this new code change that was adopted on January 1st. But we'll make this presentation available to everybody, and you can use that cheat sheet there. One more poll before I get out of here. If you had to produce your roof warranty docs today, could you do it? Do you know where your warranties are? All right. Well, very good. We got good customers. Hopefully, some of those are with us as well, and you got an easy line to find it. We're going to give you a lot more insight onto roof asset management and our software programs, and I'm going to turn it over to Julian, our branch manager for our Miami office.
Thank you, Clint. Last question was a great way of starting our presentation. So basically, as building owners, as a property manager, the most important tool that you have in order to protect your roof will be the information. So being aware of that, Advanced Roofing has developed Advanced Access, which is basically a cloud-based software that would allow you to store all your roof-related information, and it will be accessible from any internet-ready device, your cell phone, computer, laptop, you name it. So basically, you will be able to store any type of inspection you've done to your roof, any budget reports that you need for planning your year, any service repair history or preventive maintenance you've been doing on your roof history, warranties, permit application, blueprints, roofing calculations you've done. So all that information will be stored on our cloud and ready to use. So we'd like to show us a small, short video clip of how the system works.
This is Nicole. She is a property manager for 20 commercial buildings in the area. But Nicole is in over her head, literally, with roofing issues. She's spending most of her time coordinating maintenance and repairs, analyzing reports, and budgeting for future projects, all while frantically searching for her roof's important documents when issues arise. And to complicate matters, all of Nicole's properties have different roof systems and life cycles, making routine asset management nearly impossible. Nicole was feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, trying to manage all of her roofs using different paper forms and spreadsheets, when she heard about the Advanced Access Roof Asset Management Portal from Advanced Roofing, Inc. In business since 1983, Advanced Roofing, Inc. is ranked as the #1 commercial roofing company in Florida by Roofing Contractor magazine and specializes in roof replacements, repairs, and maintenance services for occupied buildings in Florida. Advanced Roofing implemented the Advanced Access Roof Asset Management Portal to help its customers achieve the maximum life cycle from their roofing assets through preventative maintenance, while feeling safe and secure by having complete control over their roofs 24/7, 365 days a year. From any internet-ready device, Nicole can now view all of her roof's information in one location, dispatch service with the click of a button, track work orders in real time, see photos from repairs, view warranty documents, and build custom reports for budgeting. Everything she needs is uploaded to her customer portal seamlessly and can be viewed from anywhere, anytime, even from the beach. With advanced access, Nicole can now streamline her roofing projects for good, allowing her to concentrate on what matters most, ensuring a safe environment for her tenants and saving money for her properties. So, if you're a building owner,
All right. Thank you, Jess. So as you see, I would say the biggest benefit of using this system is that not only they are live reports of the condition of your roof, but it's the easy to use and easy to access to that information. So it all starts with us walking your roof, doing an appointment. So basically what we do is we observe what you have. We observe the deficiencies that the roof has. We go and rate your roof according not only to its age, but how well it has been maintained during the years. And then we give you some recommendations or suggestions based on our findings. So next slide would be a picture on the left. So what we do is we go to your property and we divide your property into different sections. So each section would have the size of it, an estimated installation date, which could be either provided by you if we didn't install the roof, or we can usually determine that by aerial imagery nowadays. And then based on our findings, we would grade your roof. Being A, so we go from A to F, and being A, the roof that it's in the better shape, and being F, a roof that has reached its useful life. So once we go deeper into each one of the sections, what we would do is we would, if you see those small yellow dots on the picture on the right, we will locate each one of the deficiencies on each one of the sections. We will give you a quantity, the amount of deficiencies that we have found regarding that specific one. And we will give you how we're going to repair it and what's the cost is going to be to repair that. So we could either have two types of deficiencies. We could have remedial deficiencies, which are the deficiencies that are not immediately creating a water intrusion for you, or emergency repairs, which are the ones that are creating water intrusion. Those will be reactive, let's call it like that. So with this, once we put together that report, we will be able to put together a budget matrix that would help you through the year in order for you to plan ahead and better get the most out of your roof and being proactive instead of reactive, as Clint was mentioning before. So the next slide, yes. So basically on a budget, what we will see is, as I was mentioning, the list of emergency repairs and remedial repairs. And if we find that your roof has reached its useful life and it can't be restored with any coating, we will provide you with a budget price to repair. So at the end, this would help you. Some customers like Publix, when they have a property they based their replacement based on the amount of money that they have put on a roof, either on maintenance or on repairs. So this will really help you knowing which of the sections of your roof it's in worse shape according to the money that you have spent on it. So this is a really helpful tool. Or some customers said, okay, I want to address first the emergency. This year, I want to address all the emergency repairs. Next year, let's address the remedial repairs. So very powerful tool as well. It also allows you to choose, if you see here, this is the client portal where you will be able to let us know which deficiency you want to fix first. For instance, in order and reading this report, the section 1 is the warehouse where we have identified emergency and remedial repairs, compared to the section 4, which is the canopy, where you will see that since we found out that the roof already reached the useful life, we are recommending replacement. When the roof is a good candidate and we have a good substrate, we can also recommend the coating option. So those are very powerful tools when addressing budget for your roofs. The system has also the capability of having an inventory of the repairs that we have found through the years on the system. So basically here what you see is a specific site, and it will let you know exactly what the inventory repair is for each one of those sections. We do also have the feature of having the capital project budget, where it tells you, okay, given that this is a roof that it's already 18 years old into its useful life, we can assist you with providing budget for replacement or for coating as well. So the system has a big capability of helping you how to budget for future expenses. Another nice tool is that any report, you can export it to Excel and it would fit your needs. So you just bring it to an Excel sheet and you said, okay, given that this is a priority 6, which is what the system does as well is that it creates priorities, being 6, for instance, a room with computers or things that can't allow to get wet. So we can assist you with that as well, depending on your ratings. So you can always export that to Excel. This time of the year is perfect times to book your free inspection, given that it's a dry season and we are before the hurricane season. So book it now so we can let you know in advance what deficiencies need to be addressed, so you're ready and prepared for that. Having said that, we're going to open the session to questions.
Thank you, Clinton, Julian. Lots of information to grab there. If you need any slides, we have them as well. We're always willing to do custom presentations if you have a board or other property managers that you think that could benefit from this. Again, Clint mentioned with the CEU credits, if you get us those, we'll get you certificates. If there's any questions, type them in the chat board or the Q&A. We do have a question that just came in. Do you use nuclear testing instead of IR? I don't know if Jason or Clint, you want to take that one?
Yeah, Jason, you want to take it? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we use both. Infrared is one of the options. We have these tools in-house to Tramex tools, infrared guns made by FLIR. We utilize both of them. Depending on the type of roof deck, typically the nuclear is done over concrete decks, where the infrareds can be done on any type of roof system. So we utilize both. We utilize those when we're doing recover roof systems over an existing roof. The state of Florida allows you to recover one roof system based off of some stringent parameters: moisture, the condition of the deck, and we utilize the moisture survey to verify that the existing roof meets the criteria and it's not wet. If it is wet, we can provide a unit cost to change out wet insulation. And we use it for coatings also. Whenever we're putting a coating down over an existing roof, if we're going to coat a single ply or a modified roof system, a lot of the manufacturers require that we do a moisture survey for their peace of mind, our peace of mind, and we don't want to encapsulate any wet moisture in an existing roof system. So we utilize both.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. We also had a question from Bruce Byrne. Are coal tar pitch roof systems still installed? I love this question.
Yeah, they are. They absolutely are, and you know they're still one of the primary tools in our toolbox for high-rise condominiums where you may have height and clearance issues. You know, coal tar pitch allows us, and it's still the only code written exception to the ponding water rule. You know, the building code requires what they consider to be positive drainage on roof systems. But there is an exception for coal tar pitch. So in situations where we might have a lot of mechanical equipment that doesn't necessarily have the height for tapered insulation or drainage assemblies, coal tar pitch is absolutely still an option. Our team is one of the few teams around the state that's still installing it at a regular frequency. But coal tar is one of the oldest technologies in our arsenal and still continues to be one of the top performing technologies as well. It's a gravel surfaced, built up roof with coal tar. It performs extremely well under ponding water. With proper maintenance, we see coal tar extend well past 30 years.
Yeah, thank you, Clint. And one of our biggest clients is Pratt Whitney. We've been out there for 5 years every year where they do another section with coal tar pitch. So, you know, I grew up on it. It's very difficult to work. We actually pay a premium to our workers because it's got creosote in it and it burns a little bit. It's still legal per OSHA, but it is the oldest, most proven waterproofing system for roofing. I'd like to just address Jason Caruth, who's just on. He runs our Sanford office. He's a lot about what Advanced is about. Jason came on. He's a third generation roofing family, and he came in our service department in Fort Lauderdale and then went up to Sanford, took over that service, and now he's the branch manager. We spend about $1 million a year in training. We have 5 full-time quality control trainers. We have a 3-year apprenticeship program working with ABC around the state now. We're the founders of it, Advanced Roofing, my son Kevin. So we're proud to be able to train and new employees coming in as well, existing, to career path them up to whatever position they want to be. And that's important. Question came up, how many employees? We have about 570 full-time employees. And then we do use subcontractors in our solar division and everything else. One thing we didn't mention that is a lot about the solar, and just that would be another lunch and learn, but the tax credits got extended. 26% it was supposed to go to 22 this year. It's 26 this year and next year. And we anticipate with the new administration possibly going up to 30% again. So that's a great investment. We're seeing it less than 5 years on some of the systems, 5-year return on the solar. Good thing to look at. Some people ask about the 20, 30 year. Well, if a contractor gives it to me, you know, what's the difference between you and another contractor that gives us the same warranty? And there's a lot to that. It's a length of time in business, financial. There's pre-qualification forms from the National Roofing Contractors Association. We strongly recommend, if you're doing a large re-roof project, that you know about who you're doing business with. It makes them disclose previous bankruptcies, how long they're in business, their financial worth. And it's really worth doing a good pre-qualification, because these long warranties, you want to make sure that your existing contractor is still in business. The manufacturer's warranty is written for the manufacturer. It actually protects them, not you. And you might think, well, it covers labor and material. Well, if they didn't supply one of those components, a fastener and insulation, and guess what? They're going to go to that. Many manufacturers spend a lot of money on attorneys, in-house attorneys, just to not pay out. And that's where we come in. We have a lot of clout through our purchasing power and size. Even if it's a gray area, we're able to push manufacturers to cover things that they normally would not cover. The advantage of doing business with somebody that's been in business for as long as we have. And one last thing I'll close on is, Publix has been a client for over 30 years. I think we have a few of them on our call today, but that takes a lot to keep a client like that, who goes through a lot of different changes in management, but they really invest in their buildings and their roofing structures, and they've had the same system for 30 years, and they do all preventive maintenance. We cover half the state of the Publix, and we probably re-roofed about 400. So that says a lot about our company and our relationships with our clients. So with that said,
yeah, Rob, we appreciate you sharing that additional information. We do have a few questions that rolled in since then. One of them, with the building code updates in 2021, can you estimate an increase in roofing costs? What should clients expect to budget additionally because of these budget changes?
Yeah, that's it's a pretty technical question. I can tell you, worst case scenario, we've seen projects move 15 to 20%. And best case scenario, especially with like adhered systems, we've basically seen no change whatsoever. Now, the reason being is that the adhered systems often don't have increased fastening patterns for the foams or adhesives that we are using, meaning that the NOA, the Notice of Acceptance for Dade County or the Florida Product Approval, it met the pressures for the whole building when we started. But with mechanically attached systems, we use what we call extrapolation, where we start with a base pressure for the lowest zone of the roof, and then we extrapolate fastener densities throughout the perimeters and corners. And those systems change dramatically, primarily the size of those perimeters and corners, and then how they're figured in relation to the height of the building. So it can be pretty technical. I really think every project needs to be analyzed. Some of them may not change at all. Some of them can change up to 20%. We really recommend that you refresh budgets with the new code. It can be I know that's a large answer, but it's about as good as I can give you. It's a lot of variables.
Awesome. Thanks for that feedback, Clint. The other question is the importance of contacting the manufacturer rather than the installer for leaks. If customer goes to roofer, does it void warranty? And I could take that question. So it depends on who your contractor is. A lot of larger contractors that are master installers of these systems can call on your behalf. But smaller contractors or contractors that might not have a good track record with those manufacturers, ask that you call directly. It's always good to check with the manufacturer on how they're set up with the contractor that you decide to use on your project. With that said, we have another last question here before we Jess gives us a raffle winner. Similar to the shift in technology from 45 mil to 60 mil, what can we anticipate as another shift in roofing technology in the near future? I don't know if someone wants to probably take the key question.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump on that. I think it's insightful. There's two things really in our mind happening. One, it's more of a shift from thickness of membranes. It's just as much of a shift to chemical composition. So the PVC and PVC key membranes, I think we're seeing that move, chemical composition wise, is taking up more and more market share every year as owners start to understand how these systems weather and how they perform under traffic. We've seen a shift away from TPO towards PVC key. And we're also seeing that same shift in thicker membranes. So the shift from 60 mil to 80 mil is happening as well. It really comes down to just usage and the goals of the building, the operator, the owner's goals for longevity and future looking kind of budgeting and planning. But there's twofold. 80 mil membranes in the TPO world are absolutely being deployed. You still have that maintainability issue though that we talked about, where repairing oxidized and older TPOs can be difficult. And you're getting similar performance from an 80 mil TPO. You're getting a similar performance out of a 60 mil PVC key with better weatherability. So thicker membranes are already here. and we're seeing a migration towards these PVC key membranes as well.
Awesome. Thanks for the insight into the future, Clint.